Good morning, South Carolina fans. I'm sure a lot of you are running on absolutely zero sleep. I would hope that you enjoyed last night's win to its fullest extent, because you had, in my opinion, a program-defining win in Willy-B. 63-38 was the final. Stormy conditions in Columbia, South Carolina. Everything about last night was perfection for South Carolina fans. Like, last night was when it all perfectly came together in the Shane Beamer era. Willy-B was on absolute fire, and you saw that impact the game. The offense was humming. We talk about it so much. They got so many pieces. They got Jaheim Bell. Spencer Rattler has it under the hood. We put it together. They got Juice Wells. That was operating at the most elite level we have ever seen. 63 points. The defense, did they have their best game ever? No, but they played against the top offense in the country for a lot of people's money and held it down. Held it down at least enough for the offense to score 63 points. Here's the biggest thing I think you take away if you're a South Carolina fan. This year is an improvement upon last year. This year is another positive step forward in the Shane Beamer era. But I cannot stress enough what a win like that will do for recruiting. The fact that you can take a snapshot of Willy-B in stormy conditions and Spencer Rattler throwing 6 touchdowns. You can package that up, put it on a PowerPoint, put it in whatever kind of presentation you want, tell that story, and you take it recruiting. And you take that and help it build the foundation of what South Carolina is going to be under Shane Beamer. Going to be really exciting. Quick note, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you along for the ride. This is the People's Show, so every single thing that you know that you love about college football, well, guess what? It happens on this program, the Hard Count, and the On3 YouTube channel every single day. Also, follow me on social media at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. A lot of interaction, a lot of fun there. Roll party roll. Last night, you got what you hoped Spencer Rattler would be when he announced he was transferring to South Carolina. Because it hasn't been a smooth ride for Spencer Rattler. He had the 2020 Cotton Bowl, and then everybody gave him the preseason Heisman. They made him the #1 pick, and there was just an immense amount of pressure on that young man's shoulders. And there was a lot of things being said about him externally that he maybe wasn't all that he was cracked up to be when those accolades were directed his way, or projected his way, rather. But last night, what you got from Spencer Rattler was the best game I think he's ever probably had in his career. And that includes that 2020 Cotton Bowl. 6 touchdowns, 438 yards, 30 for 37. Those numbers are extremely impressive. There's no denying that he was in the zone last night. But what I took away even more from that was he was the guy last night, and it was contagious. Like, for a lot of what we've been exposed to with Spencer Rattler, he had a documentary made about his high school career, rather his senior season, along with some other quarterbacks. And there was a lot of people that had questioned him as a teammate, that questioned his integrity as, someone who loves football, or what kind of, like I said, there was a lot of questions directed towards Spencer Rattler for things that don't even necessarily correlate to the football field. But what I saw last night from Spencer Rattler, I saw the team feed off his energy, off of his confidence. He looked so comfortable. He was running around back there playing backyard football. Like, the kind of mode he was in last night was special. And the game that he had last night is the reason why you go out and recruit him and bring him to South Carolina. Also, sticking on the recruiting kind of topic, you can now package that up and say you want to come play in this offense, you want to come have big games through the air. Spencer Rattler did it. Why can't you come play for South Carolina? And that's something that I think will be really exciting for the future of this program. But for Spencer Rattler, I mean, you're so happy for the kid. Because like I said, so many naysayers, so much talk about him and what he wasn't capable of. We always knew he was capable physically, but for him to put it together and have the game between the ears that he had last night, extremely happy for him. And he was peak Spencer Rattler last night. And like I said, you got out of him what you had hoped for all along when he decided to become a Gamecock. It wasn't like the defense really forced Tennessee too much out of their rhythm. I mean, they scored 24 at half. They had 38 points the whole game. But here's the biggest thing that I took away from the way that South Carolina won that game last night. In terms of the X's and O's, they didn't have every single matchup. They were 20-plus point dogs for a reason. But what they did was they found their matchup. And you've heard me say this a lot when it comes to these kind of upsets. It's more about efficacy than it is about quantity in matchups. And they found their one or two that they loved. Juice Wells. He had a matchup that he liked against that Tennessee secondary. I think it was 11 catches, 12 catches for 177 yards. They fed him the football. They found what they liked, and they exploited it routinely. They went to the well time and time again, and every single time came away with a really positive result. And then running the football, we say it as well. With them, they have a rushing threshold that Shane Beamer wants to get this program to. He says, when we cross that rushing threshold, when I've been here, we've never lost. And last night, from my estimation, that threshold's around 100 yards. They ran for 150 with both of their top backs not in the lineup. Christian Beal-Smith, Marshawn Lloyd, they didn't play last night. So who do you turn to? Your freakish athlete listed as a tight end, but he does everything for you, Jaheim Bell. He was a dog. 17 carries, 82 yards. Also contributed in the pass game. Like, the way that they were able to supplement that offense was so impressive. And give credit to Marcus Satterfield, because similar to Spencer Rattler, there has been a lot of talk, whether it's right or wrong, about what he has been for South Carolina as a play caller, not getting playmakers involved, not scoring enough points. And he'd be the first to tell you, they had not had the offensive output they wanted a week ago. And complete 180, simplified the offense so much, just gave their best players a chance to go make plays, kept it simple, and reaped the benefits of it. So Marcus Satterfield and that offense found their matchups, kept the main thing, kept it simple, and executed, obviously, at an extremely high level. I love so much the fact they went to their matchups and made it about those matchups. Not about the whole 22, just made it about those one or two matchups and found a way to get it done. So here's the biggest point. Like, that's probably the biggest X and O point, but here's the big point that I took away from last night's game in terms of how South Carolina pulled that off. Because you look up and down the roster, and you look at what Tennessee's done this year to people, and you say Tennessee probably, I don't think it's too far of a stretch, probably has more talent. But what we saw last night take place in Williams-Brice Stadium was a culture offset the talent. And so I don't want to make this too ambiguous or make this something that's knocking Tennessee. It wasn't like Tennessee has a bad culture. That's not the case. It wasn't culture versus culture, but it was Shane Beamer's culture accounting for what they didn't have talent-wise, and their team, their program, overcoming all of the external, keeping it all in that locker room, in that coaching staff, and just absolutely having a day. And you cannot say enough good things about Shane Beamer to instill the confidence and enthusiasm and excitement in that program to play the way that they did. There's a lot of good things coming for South Carolina. Is it going to happen in 2 years? I don't know. There's no timeline on this thing. But I would say this. If you're a South Carolina fan, you have your guy for the future in Shane Beamer. You give him all the time he needs, give him all the resources he needs, because Shane Beamers aren't just out there walking around. You have a great one in him. And I think there's nowhere to go but up for this program. Nowhere to go but up. You got Clemson next. We'll see what happens in that game. But after what I saw last night, South Carolina is going to be a force to be reckoned with for seasons to come. I'm Jody Pickell. This has been The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in with us. Nick Brake doing the real heavy lifting. You can help drive this whole operation by subscribing to the channel. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.